So, I have a confession to make. Not every breakfast in my kitchen turns out the way you see on Instagram. Most of them are a disaster. And today I wanted to share one of those stories with you. My Ragi Bagel fail. Yes, I actually thought I could make bagels with ragi flour. Spoiler alert, couldn't. But before we dive into the carnage, let me set the scene. It was one of those very gloomy, rainy, cozy mornings when you're in the mood to try something different. And I had my coffee, wore my apron, and I had this brilliant idea. Why not give bagels a healthy spin? You know, bagels, but make them good for you? There comes ragi flour, also known as finger millet. For those of you who don't know, ragi is a powerhouse grain which we eat a lot in India, full of calcium, iron, and fiber. The kind of millet your grandmother would tell you is super good for your bones. And I thought, bagels are chewy, hearty, and maybe ragi would work beautifully, right? Wrong. Very, very wrong. I started mixing the dough. A little ragi flour, a little whole wheat flour, yeast, sugar, salt, and water. Everything did look promising. The dough came together, but I noticed it wasn't as smooth as the regular bread dough. It was heavier and a little stubborn, a little too sticky too. The flour to water ratio is where it first went for a toss. I should have taken that as my first red flag. But of course, I was more stubborn than the dough. I let it rise, shaped them into bagels, and dropped them in boiling water, which is also when my camera battery conveniently decided to give up on me. Everything looked okay, at least from the outside, and then came the bake. When I pulled them out of the oven, I actually thought, wow, not bad, huh? They looked like bagels, a little rustic, a little cracked, but definitely bagel shaped. I was ready to pat myself on the back until I tried to slice one open. The knife didn't glide like it should. It fought back and fought back. How? These bagels were hard, like rock hard. I tugged, I sawed, I pulled, and when I finally tore it apart, it crumbled into these dense, dry chunks. And honestly, the taste wasn't any better. Chewy in all wrong ways, dry, and let's just say, not the kind of thing you want to smear cream cheese on, which is my favorite, by the way. My healthy bagels had basically turned into edible bricks. Well, not edible too. I sat there staring at them, thinking, was it me? Was it the recipe? Or was just the universe trying to tell me that bagels and ragi were never meant to be together? I left out a huge sigh and stared at them because the hours that went into this, I don't even want to think about it. Here's the thing, we don't talk about failed recipes. We only see the glossy outcomes, the perfect pancakes, the golden breads, the stacked smoothie bowls. But behind every Pinterest-worthy photograph, there are usually at least a few flops, and this one was mine. But I loved that it happened, now that I look back at it, because cooking isn't supposed to be perfect. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and sometimes it makes you laugh at yourself. And honestly, laughing at a failed bagel is way more fun than pretending that it never happened. The hours, the effort, the ingredients. And later I did some reading, and turns out ragi has no gluten, which is why the dough was so dense. Gluten is what gives bread its stretch, its softness, and that airy chewiness. Without that, you're basically trying to make a balloon without air. So, technically, unless I blend ragi with a stronger flour or use some gluten substitute, my ragi bagels were doomed from the start. The ratio of flour to water becomes really important here too. And maybe, just maybe, that's where I messed up this time. Too much water, too little structure. Anyway, a little food science moment right there. And that's it. My ragi bagels. Not the smoothest batch, a little rough around the edges, but that's the fun part, right? Right? Cooking and baking are full of trial and error, and sometimes the so called failures become the stories worth sharing, at least for me. This video also marks something new for me. It's only the second time I've tried doing a voiceover here on the Brekkie Club. And honestly, it feels like such a shift. Instead of, just showing you the food, I actually get to talk to you, share the mess ups, the little joys, and the lessons along the way. It feels more personal, more like we're sitting down together at my breakfast table and swapping stories while the bagels just toast in the background. So, thank you for being here, for watching, and for being a part of this experiment with me. I cannot wait to see where these voiceovers, these recipes, and this little breakfast club of ours will go together. Until then, here's to imperfect bagels, new beginnings, and mornings made a little brighter with good food. See you next time.